I feel like it's been forever since I've done a draft league video because I kind of finally forced myself to take a break when I should have taken a break a while ago before the UBL. You know, we saw how that debacle went. So yeah, kind of sucks that I had to get to that point where like it was pretty evident to myself that okay, I gotta stop instead of thinking, hey, keep going, it's okay. But yeah, I guess I kind of burned myself out there before the UBL and then all the other IRL stuff going on. So I kind of had this league here going on the side. It wasn't anything I planned to upload, but it was on Wi-Fi, and I figured if I do want to upload these videos or these battles, I might as well go ahead. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So the winner of this league gets a prize at the end, so that's what we are fighting for, and hopefully we will be able to win it. This is hosted by Arcan9ne. It's done in his Discord. He does upload and stuff, so check him out down below in the description. Also hit that thumbs up button if you guys are excited for this. I'm gonna kind of be explaining how I want these to go, and then there should be like little timestamp on your screen right now. Please just hold on before you skip to everything else because I want to explain this real quick here. So this is going to be me going over the team, then I'm going to do the team builder for the first match, and then the actual first match is going to be the final section of this entire video. So I may do battles in the future, like I may do weeks 2 and 3 together, and then 4 and 5 together, although I'm not entirely too sure, but we'll see how things go. I guess y'all can let me know how y'all want to see it. But yeah, this is going to kind of be like a little 3-part video, and then yeah, just you can skip to where you want to go to, I suppose. So yeah, check out Arcan9ne down below. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about our draft. I think our draft is freaking awesome, honestly. So it was an 11-mon draft with rules similar to the UCL. You UCL fans out there, you will know what I'm talking about. So it was actually 2 OU Pokemon, 2 UU Pokemon, 3 RU Pokemon, and then 4 NU Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken. But things like Magearna, Tapu Lele are allowed. Greninja is allowed with Battle Bond and Protean together, which is just absurd in my opinion, but that is what it is. He said he was going to change the rules for Season 2, so this is kind of like the little trial season. But hey, it is what it is. So even after all these rules, I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's fun playing against like broken things. At the same time, though, you have to prepare for those broken things every single week with your own broken things. So yeah, I guess everybody has their own preference. But yeah, I believe I was like 3rd, 4th to draft maybe out of my pool. Originally it was me and 6 other people, so it was going to be 7 weeks, but then 2 people dropped recently actually. So they went through the draft and they drafted their own mons, but they're not in the draft anymore. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. But I mean, it is what it is. But if we beat the people in our pool, we get to move on to the actual playoffs, where we face the top winners of the other 2 divisions. So I was in Group C, so we had our own draft pool. Group B had their own draft pool, and then Group A had their own draft pool. So yeah, there's 2 additional people in this draft pool that drafted, but they're not even here anymore. So it's just kind of annoying. I don't know. Sorry, little rant. Sorry, but yeah, our first mon here, I don't want to make this too long. We have Greninja. Yes, I was lucky enough to get Greninja with Protean and Battle Bond, which again, I think Protean Greninja alone is way too good for Draft League. I could do a whole video probably on why Greninja with Protean is too good for Draft League format. Yeah, Battle Bond, I don't think he's as bad as Protean. I may bring Battle Bond to a match or 2, but wait, got Protean Greninja, which is really awesome. This thing is a phenomenal breaker. Regular Greninja is already pretty decent, but Protean Greninja being able to have stab on everything is absurd. And the fact that this is also one of our Z move mons makes it even better because it gets stab on any single Z move. So yeah, hopefully we can see Greninja here put in a lot of work. Our next mon here is going to be Jirachi, which is pretty cool because this is another Z-mon. Also, something I forgot to mention is that Omni boosting moves are allowed in this league. So we can actually bring Z Happy Hour Jirachi, which is kind of dumb if you think about it, because Omni boosting moves, it's not fair, honestly. Like, yeah, I guess if your opponent has a Ditto, then that's fine. But outside of that, Omni boosting can actually be very, very annoying to deal with. This just adds another layer onto what exactly Jirachi can do. I'm not a big fan of Jirachi, but I figure that if it can Omni boost, it might be worth trying out. It's also really good bulky, It's good offensively, and yeah, it's a Jirachi. It does Jirachi things, Serene Grace, all that shenanigans. Next off, we have our first EU pick, which is going to be Inferno. I was surprised I was actually able to get Inferno, but this is a moveset for one of our weeks, and I don't remember which week. I want to say it was week 1. It might be week 1, so spoilers. But yeah, we have Inferno here, which in my opinion is probably the best fire type in draft league formats, which some people might think I'm being a little too adamant, I guess, about Inferno. I just really like Inferno. It can do so much. It can be mixed. I've proven it can be defensive as well. So yeah, I really like this. I think Inferno is going to be able to put in a lot of work, and it's really grown on me. Next off, we have our third and final Z-Mon, which also gets Omnibus. Clanging Scales is allowed in this league, people, so we can use Arcan9ne Z, because I knew I was about to mess that up. So we can turn our Clangorous Scale into Kamo's Omni boosting move. Clangorous Soul Blaze, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So then at that point, Kamo is just a threat. I mean, it's already kind of a threat. Like, the weird thing about Kamo is that it looks so good on paper. Like, the fact that it can do so much, it looks so good. But then you kind of get into practice with it and you're like, oh, this is why you're not tier that high usually. So yeah, hopefully Kamo can put in a little bit of work throughout the season. Maybe like Jirachi with the Omni boosting option, it'll be a lot better. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, this can be offensive, defensive as well. Actually, defensive Kamo might be something we bring to a match or two, so be on the lookout for that. You get Stealth Rocks as well as being able to be especially offensive and physically offensive with speed boosting prowess because of Rock Polish, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and it gets Tatomize, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Kamo, very awesome Pokemon. Next off, we have good old Shaymin, the Sheamus. You guys should know at this point, Shaymin is probably my favorite grass type. Like, I had to force myself to stop using Shaymin. Like, Shaymin is just so good. And in a league where you can win a prize, I was like, hey, Shaymin's on the board. I love Shaymin. I'm gonna get Shaymin. So I got Shaymin. And yeah, it's just the Shaymin. Seed Flare, 40% chance to Spadef drop is awesome. All around, well, stats, like everything's base 100. It gets Swords Dance too, which is kind of cool. Aromatherapy, Healing Wish, which is also really awesome when you have 3 Omni boosting Mons, because you can then heal them back up. So yeah, maybe that'll be something we can see. Tailwind's pretty cool, and Leech Seed, of course, and a bunch of other little Shaymin things that it does. I love, man, Shaymin's so cute. Look at it, it's adorable. Next off, we have good old Donphan, a mon that's recently been growing on me a lot in the draft league format, especially because I absolutely hated Donphan, but it is a beast in certain matches. It does Donphan things, great physical wall, amazing assault vest Pokemon. This is the Bird Killer. Shouts out to you UCL Season 3 people. We got the Bird Killer here, Mr. Donphan. And yeah, Donphan has a pretty good offensive move pool as well. Seed Bomb, Gunk Shot, Heavy Slam, Fire Fang. I think it also gets Play Rough, Ice Shard, and Knockoff, Rapid Spin, and of course Stealth Rocks, because Stealth Rocks are very important. We have 4 pretty good rockers so far, which is really nice. So moving on to the next team member, we have good old Tortuga, the Mega Blastoise. This is my first time using Mega Blastoise since UCL Season 2, and I'm really hoping it puts in a lot of work. I actually really wanted to try the idea of Greninja plus Mega Blastoise, because Mega Blastoise is respectively bulky. Like, I wouldn't say it's a bulky water, it's more of a tank, because it can hit hard, but it can also take decent hits, but not as well as something like Vaporeon. Vaporeon can take hits way better and way more than Blastoise, but necessarily that may not always come into play. So Blastoise is always there to kind of our bulky tank water paired up with Greninja, because you want Greninja to be your only water type, and that's another aspect where Blastoise comes in here. Plus, they're both especially offensive water types. They can hopefully help overwhelm each other's counters because of their very diverse move pools, and Mega Blastoise does hit respectively hard with that base 135 special attack and Mega Launcher, boosting Flash Cannon, Dragon Pulse, Aura Sphere, and Dark Pulse, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's basically like those moves have stab, which is actually pretty nice because it's almost like all of Blastoise moves have stab, and this also gives us another rapid spinner, which is really nice for some hazard removal. Next off, we have Mesprit here, which I originally wanted to be Uxie. This was the only Pokemon that was sniped for me was Uxie, so I was like, fine, I'll take Mesprit. I really wanted Uxie just because Uxie is a lot faster and a lot bulkier. Yes, it doesn't hit as hard, but I don't necessarily care too much about that. I just want the speed and bulk that Uxie does possess. Plus, it gets Memento. However, though, Mesprit does get Healing Wish as well, so now we have 2 Healing Wish Pokemon, which could be very, very handy for the rest of our offensive mons on the squad. But the Mesprit here does have decent, well-rounded stats. Base 80 HP and 80 speed are its lowest, which isn't actually that bad at all. It gets U-turn, Stealth Rocks, it's a great Scarfer, it gets Trick Room, all the normal like dual screen stuff, and Ice Beam, Thunderbolt. And yeah, hopefully Mesprit can put in a lot of work. If not, then maybe I can try to get this traded to me so I can get the Uxie. So yeah, we'll see how things go there, but I mean, it's Mesprit, should be fine. Next off, we have Heliolisk, which I was able to get round 2, which I was really surprised by because Heliolisk is actually kind of scary once you think about it. Like, Heliolisk is never an electric type that I see in a regular draft, and I'm like, yeah, I really want Heliolisk. Mainly because I like my electric types to be able to stop other electric types. I've kind of spoiled myself to that. So I've never really looked into Heliolisk, and I was like, you know what, I want to try something new. And I just saw Heliolisk sitting there, and I decided to get it. Base 109 special attack, and speed is amazing because this thing has a pretty diverse move pool on the especially offensive side. Plus, it gets Glare, which is really nice because it lets it paralyze just about everything, and I believe more things than actually Thunder Wave can paralyze as well. Plus, Glare doesn't miss. Glare is base 100 now. Base 100 accuracy, which is amazing. So yeah, Heliolisk, hopefully it puts in work. Another mon I really want to try out here was a Comfey. I've never had Comfey. I really wanted to try out Comfey, and I basically just needed a fairy type, and everybody else had their fairy type, so I knew I could get mine late out of NU, so I decided to go with Comfey. It gets Defog. Triage is really cool, gives priority to things like Giga Drain, Draining Kiss, I believe even Leech Seed and Synthesis. Those moves also get priority, which is really awesome because it's already fast, has decent bulk, and priority recovery is always nice. And then the final team member here is going to be Skuntank. I really think Skuntank is super underrated. Skuntank is probably one of my favorite lower tier Pokemon, just because it's actually very, very diverse, and it has an amazing move pool. Memento, Sucker Punch, it has physical moves, special moves, Explosion, Play Rough, not protect, but Pursuit is always nice as well. So yeah, a lot of things that Skuntank here can do. But yeah, guys, that is our draft. Let's get into the team builder for our week 1 match. Alright, so for those of you who did not see the little draft analysis portion, then you do not know why I have a Protein Greninja here in front of you. Although some of you might be questioning why it's Assault Vested. So let's take a look at the team matchup, which should be down in the corner somewhere. Yeah, that's the matchup there. So my opponent's 3 Zmons were, I believe, Terrakion, Landorus, and Heatran. Now, the very scary thing about this matchup is that Heatran is actually very, very terrifying. Heatran pretty much destroys my entire draft. Magma Storm with Z Solar Beam breaks right through Mega Blastoise, and then at that point, I don't really have any switch into Heatran, and that's very problematic, so I have to be super careful around that if it is offensive. Landorus, offensively wise, is very annoying if it's Scarfed. If it turns out to be set up, then that's not going to be as bad because nothing that we have on our team should allow it to freely set up as long as I don't misplay with something. So Landorus setting up shouldn't be too big of an issue. Dragon Dance Altaria is only a threat if we allow it to get the +2 Dragon Dance, so it may get the +1, but as long as it doesn't get the +2, then we should be okay. That's the only way I'm kind of worried about Altaria. I guess if it's especially offensive too, that could be a little bit annoying. Next off, Terrakion is in the same boat as Landorus, but at the same time, if it Swords Dances like Landorus, then I have stuff to outspeed it. If it Rock Polishes, or if Landorus Rock Polishes, then they're easier to check still. So as long as they don't turn out to be Double Dance, or I don't let them Double Dance, neither both of those should be a problem, even though they are very scary Z-Mons. However, though, Choice banning Terrakion does seem like a possibility because we do not have a Ghost type, and our best switch-in is Mesprit, which is going to be worn down. So if it is Banded Terrakion, that could be a little bit scary. Roserade is also kind of scary offensively-wise, depending on the set that it's running. And something else that is also very threatening that I did not expect was Rotom Frost. Like, Rotom Frost has an amazing matchup this game, and if it's Choice Scarf, it outspeeds everything, and I'm going to be very upset if I have to deal with it, which is actually why we have Assault Vest Greninja here, because Assault Vest Greninja allows me to be able to not only take on the Heatran, but I can also potentially take one Scarfed Thunderbolt from Rotom, and then in return hit it with a Hydro Pump, and then potentially follow it up with a Water Shuriken, which is very awesome. I actually thought about maybe making this Torrent, which I know is weird, but on the off chance that he doesn't bring Rotom Frost, which is very likely because he may want to bring Cloyster, and I don't think he's going to bring Cloyster and Rotom, and then Uxie, a defensive threat, and then Ambipom and Scyther I really don't worry about at all. Like, I have no reason to worry about them whatsoever. So even though this set cannot particularly touch Uxie, we do have other mons that can. So yeah, hoping that Assault Vest Greninja here can actually put in work and potentially check the Heatran, which would be awesome. So our next mon here is going to be Assault Vest Heliolisk, which is also a form of being able to check the Heatran and the Rotom Frost, as well as potentially the Roserade. Roserade could actually be a little bit annoying, and the possible chance of him having a specially offensive Altaria. So between these two mons, we should be able to kind of deal with those, so I'm not entirely too worried about them. But Heliolisk does have a nice matchup here. Focus Blast is really only there because it does a little bit more damage to Umbreon and Heatran, plus there was really nothing else I wanted to put in that last slot. I don't see myself having a Thunderbolt very much at all because he doesn't have a Water type. So I figured Volt Switch was enough, and then Hyper Voice is a nice little stab, and then Surf and Focus Blast just kind of round off the set here. So our next team member is going to be Inferno, which, hey, look, it's the one from the draft analysis. I thought it was week 1 because look at Inferno, then look at his team. He has no switch-ins to this Inferno. I was struggling a bit on which kind of Inferno I wanted to bring. Like, Inferno had such a good matchup that it was difficult to kind of pinpoint what set I wanted to bring. I could have brought something like Banded maybe, or like Setup as well, but I figured Mixed was going to be very awesome because with Vacuum Wave here, this gives us a nice little out against Terrakion, Heatran, Shell Smashing Cloyster, and potentially Rotom Frost, and maybe being able to pick very weakened Altaria, I suppose. But we have Gunk Shot for Altaria, and then Fire Blast and Close Combat hit basically everything else. What Fire Blast does not hit, Close Combat hits, and vice versa. Next up, we have Scarf Jirachi, which is a very amazing Scarfer in this match, mainly because it allows us to stop +1 Altaria, weakening it to the point where we can then either flinch it with the Iron Head, knock it out, or revenge kill it. So we have very good options against Altaria there. If he is something like Dragon Dance Guard, that could be a little problematic. At that point, I'd really have to pray for Iron Head flinches, but hopefully that does not happen. And yeah, that's really it. Like, if it's double setup, that could actually be very scary. So hopefully it's not that set. But if it's just regular Dragon Dance, or if it's mixed, then Jirachi 100% deals with it. This can pivot into any +1 hit from Altaria and then still be able to outspeed it and Iron Head it down potentially, or just revenge kill it. In general, it's a great Scarfer, and I think it can definitely put in a lot of work here. So even if he has Scarf Roserade or Scarf Landers who are able to outspeed those with the set, hit them with a nice punch. And then Trick is there just in case he has like Calm Mind Uxie as his last mon, or maybe Umbreon as his last mon, and they're becoming very annoying, so we can shut them down. Next off, we have Sheamus here, which is supposed to have a Y. You guys will notice that in the battle. But between Seed Flare and Earth Power, we kind of hit everything on our opponent's team. Toxic is amazing for the Umbreon because of Natural Cure. We can switch out and get rid of that Toxic while Umbreon will be stuck with the Toxic. We also Toxic the Altaria, the Landorus, and the Uxie as well. So Earth Power, of course, for the Heatran, because Heatran is so terrifying. And then Seed Flare is basically spammable against everything else, which is really nice. And then our last mon is going to be a max defense, max HP Donphan. This can switch into potentially Choice Bandit Terrakion, and instead of it just freely nuking us with a close combat, we have a way of punishing it back with the Rocky Helmet, which is going to be amazing because the more chip Terrakion takes, the better of a chance that it will be in range of Water Shuriken or Vacuum Wave from my Greninja and Inferno respectively. Then Stealth Rocks, of course, because Stealth Rocks. Toxic because of the same reasons that they're on the Uxie, and then Earthquake, that they are on the Shaymin, and then we have Earthquake here. So yeah, that is the week 1 squad. Let's go ahead and get into the actual battle itself. Okay, so I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys because I don't like being fake with y'all, and too many people say they're real when they're really not. But the first 2/3 of this video were narrated like a week ago. And I've tried to narrate this like 2 or 3 times when I had a bit of free time, and it just hasn't worked out. So hopefully this will be the narration that is pretty decent and that I like. So if you guys do enjoy this type of video, hit that thumbs up button down below. Week 2 should be uploaded the day after next. For those of you wondering, I am part of the GBA versus MPA, and I haven't been able to do my week 2 match, and I wanted to try and upload both matches regularly close to each other. So I'm probably just gonna try to upload my first round match, and then I guess I'll see if I can do my second round match. Yeah, I don't really know what to tell you guys on that. I'm not accountable for my opponent for round 2. So yeah, if you guys missed the team breakdown for this first week match here, this is Protean Greninja, not Torrent Greninja or Battle Bond Greninja, even though Battle Bond is allowed. But looking at the team matchup, I was really shocked to see that my opponent didn't bring Heatran. I really felt like Heatran was the scariest threat I had to deal with, but because he doesn't have that, that's a huge relief off of me in this match. However, though, the fact that he has Cloyster and Rotom is a little bit annoying. Shell Smash Cloyster shouldn't be a problem if I'm able to get off chip damage with my Stealth Rocks or with one of my other mons, and then Rotom Frost could be a little bit annoying if it's scarfed, but besides that, depending on the Altaria set, it could be a threat. Same for Roserade and Landorus, shouldn't be too much of an issue. And then Umbreon, I'm not really worried about Umbreon at all in this match. Also really happy to see that he didn't bring Terrakion, because Bandit Terrakion could have been a little bit annoying. So he ends up leading off with the Cloyster, as I lead off with my good old Jirachi here. I am Scarf Jirachi, so I really don't care what this Cloyster wants to go for. I thought because he did lead with Cloyster that maybe he was like a Focus Sash Spike stacking lead. So I figured that U-turn would be my best move here. As he brings in the Landorus, I U-turn in directly to my Donphan, and because again my best way of dealing with Cloyster is trying to get up Stealth Rocks and hopefully getting off that chip damage, I decide to just go straight for my rocks here, as unfortunately he switches directly into Cloyster. Now again, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is not a straight Shell Smash Cloyster, right, because he led with it. So I decide to be aggressive here and bring in my Heliolisk, thinking that maybe, just maybe, he would try to get up a Spike or T-Spike on me. But he goes straight for the Shell Smash, and at this point I need to sack off my Donphan or Heliolisk plus something else in hopes to be able to revenge kill this with my Infernape. But it turns out that he probably thinks my Heliolisk is Choice Scarfed, which is actually why he switches out here, even though he went straight for a Shell Smash. And you guys do not realize how absolutely huge that is in this battle. Is it game changing? I'm not entirely too sure, but my odds have definitely become a whole lot better in this match, because he probably thought my Heliolisk was Choice Scarfed. Because now, even if this Cloyster does go for a Shell Smash at -1 defense, at -1 special defense, a Vacuum Wave from my Infernape will indeed be able to knock him out. and especially after the rocks and a turn of toxic damage here, as he does go for the Shell Smash as I bring in my Heliolisk once again. I figured that I have more use for my Heliolisk than my Donphan, just because Heliolisk is assault vested. I can still take a hit from that Rotom Frost and also Roserade, as well as potentially a specially offensive Altaria, as where Donphan doesn't necessarily do entirely too much outside of maybe pivoting into Landorus, Umbreon, or physical Altaria. But I figured that if I had to lose one, losing Donphan was probably a lot better than me losing my Heliolisk, as I will be able to bring in my Inferno here. Now, I realized that in my team preview for week 1, I accidentally had the Fiery MZ on this Inferno, when in all honesty, Inferno should not have the Fiery MZ at all. Quick little spoilers, I don't pop the Fire Z at all throughout this battle, which is actually really good, because I might have had to forfeit the match, because my Z-Mons are Jirachi, Greninja, and Kamo, not Inferno, and this match was about a month ago, so I don't really know why I had the Fire MZ on Inferno. Like, I'm trying to remember, and I really don't know why, but I'm super happy that I didn't pop it throughout this entire match. So as he brought in the Landorus, I switched directly into my Shaymin, because I thought that he would be Choice Scarfed since he brought in Landorus on my Inferno. So after bringing in Shaymin, I thought that he would try to switch out, so I was going to try and predict the switch and me be able to bring in Inferno, because Inferno is easily the biggest offensive threat to my opponent. Like, realistically, he has absolutely zero switch-ins to my Inferno on his team. Even if he wanted to try to bring in Altaria here, it would take the Stealth Rocks damage, and it would take potentially a Gunk Shot if he did try to Mega Evolve, which you do have to Mega Evolve the first turn that your Mega is in, or if you leave it in for a full turn. So regardless, Inferno would have been able to 2 KO something on my opponent's team here. As I do close combat the Umbreon, I figured that maybe he thought that I was purely specially offensive, which makes sense, I guess, but the close combat is able to do a lot of damage as I knock out the Landorus. In comes the Altaria. As much as I want to Gunk Shot here, I do not want to risk missing, because if I miss a Gunk Shot, that means that this Altaria is able to Dragon Dance twice, and at that point I don't necessarily have a good way of dealing with a +2 attack, +2 speed Altaria. However though, I do have a good way of dealing with a +1 speed and +1 attack Altaria, which is my Jirachi here. So even if this was a mixed Altaria or a purely specially offensive Altaria, Jirachi would have been able to live any one hit, and then in return I could have Iron Headed or potentially U-turned, expecting him to switch out. As I do go for the Iron Hit, he is barely just able to live, but even if he had got the damage roll in his favor to knock out my Jirachi here, then I would have been able to revenge kill this Altaria. But because he did not get the roll, this means I still have a lot of use for my Jirachi later in this battle. As in comes the Roserade. Because I didn't flinch Altaria, I don't exactly feel comfortable trying to flinch this Roserade, because let's be honest, I'm probably not going to get the flinch, and it's kind of a bad idea for me to actually try and rely on the flinch when I have some decent switch-ins to this Roserade. Now, even though my Heliolisk was mainly here for the Rotom, if this is a purely offensive Roserade, which it does turn out to be, then my best switch in regardless is this Heliolisk, because even if Rotom is substitute or choice scarfed, I still have pretty good measurements of trying to deal with it, so I don't mind losing my Heliolisk here to this Roserade, as he ends up finishing me off. I bring in Jirachi, U-turn into my Shaymin, which in all honesty, I'm not sure why I didn't just switch directly into my Inferno here. I feel like I needlessly sacked my Heliolisk and my Shaymin, and again, this match is about a month old, so I'm not entirely too sure what exactly I was thinking there, because I pretty much just sacrificed 2 Mons to the Roserade. But at this point in the match, all he's got left is Umbreon and Rotom Frost in the back both of which get absolutely destroyed. like there's nothing. Like, I am basically picking up a KO, guys. Like, he needs to sack one of his mons to my Inferno. There's really no other option that he has. So down goes the Umbreon, as in comes the Rotom. I decided that if anything, I could potentially sack off my Greninja here. Although I am assault vested, so there is a chance I can live one Thunderbolt from this Rotom if he is not Choice Specs or Life Orb. As it turns out that he is not, so this means the following turn what I can do is go for the Water Shuriken, just get off a little bit of chip damage and try to put him in range of where a Backing Wave plus my Jirachi will be able to finish off the Rotom. And funny enough, this is actually where a Torrent Greninja would have been better than a Protean Greninja, because he put me directly into potential Torrent range if I did have Torrent. But it doesn't really matter that much in the long run of things, as a Vacuum Wave will be able to knock him out of here. And that is going to be the very narrow 2-0 victory for week 1 of Arcan9ne's league. Definitely check him out, guys. I did mention him in the first 2/3 of this video. His channel link and stuff will be down in the description if you guys go check out. Week 2, I will tell you guys right now, is one hell of a battle. Like, week 2, I think, is honestly one of the best battles I've had so far from this league, and I really believe you guys will enjoy my week 2 match, because it was really back and forth and came down to the wire. So yeah, I don't want to say this was an easy week 1 match, but it wasn't too much of a difficult week 1 match, and we'll see how the rest of our matches have to go. So if y'all did enjoy, you know what to do. Hammer arm that thumbs up button down below. Comment letting me know if you guys did like this type of format of video. For our next matches, I'm probably going to try and upload one battle every other day, just because we are currently in the final week of the regular season, and then we have playoffs, and yeah, hopefully we can make it to the finals. So if you guys did enjoy, again, you know what to do. With that being said, I will see you all the day after next, if anything, hopefully. So later, everybody.